There's a battle happening right now that you can't see. A war waged in silence, in the spaces between thoughts, in the moments when their mind drifts and your name appears like a whisper they can't silence. God is moving in ways you cannot comprehend, orchestrating a divine reunion that defies all logic, all timing, all human understanding. And here's what heaven wants you to know in this very moment. This person already knows they need you. Deep in the core of their being, in that sacred place where truth cannot be hidden, they know. But they're fighting it. Fighting with everything they have. Fighting against the very thing their soul is crying out for. Why do we resist what we need most? Why do we run from the very arms meant to hold us? Because need feels like vulnerability. Need feels like surrender. And for someone who has built walls brick by brick, who has convinced themselves they're fine alone, who has wrapped their heart in layers of protection so thick that even light struggles to penetrate, admitting they need you feels like falling without knowing if there's ground beneath them. But God doesn't operate on human timelines. He doesn't bow to human resistance. And right now, in ways both subtle and profound, He is dismantling every defense this person has constructed. You've felt it, haven't you? That inexplicable knowing that refuses to leave you. That sense that something beyond your understanding is at work. You wake at 3 in the morning with their name on your lips. You see signs everywhere, synchronicities too precise to be coincidence. Numbers that repeat. Songs that echo your story. Moments that feel orchestrated by invisible hands. This isn't your imagination. This isn't wishful thinking. This is God speaking in the only language that transcends doubt, divine confirmation. He's showing you what He's already set in motion. He's preparing you for what's coming. And more importantly, He's preparing them. But let's talk about what's really happening in their world right now. Because this person, the one your soul recognizes, the one whose absence creates a void nothing else can fill, they're experiencing something they cannot name. It's showing up in ways they don't expect. They're restless without knowing why. Peace eludes them. Sleep comes harder. Their achievements feel hollow. Success tastes like ash. They fill their days with noise, with distraction, with anything to avoid the silence where your memory waits. They tell themselves they've moved on. They construct narratives of independence. They date others, invest in new connections, pursue paths that lead anywhere but back to you. And yet, in quiet moments, truth breaks through. When they're alone with their thoughts, when the defenses drop just slightly, when exhaustion makes honesty unavoidable, they feel it. That pull. That magnetic force that logic cannot explain. They remember your laugh and something in their chest aches. They recall conversations you shared and realize no one else speaks that language. They touch surfaces you once touched and sense you're still there, imprinted on their world in ways they cannot erase. And it terrifies them. Because admitting you matter means admitting they were wrong. Admitting they need you means facing everything they've been running from. God sees it all. The internal conflict. The midnight struggles. The moments they almost reach out, then pull back. The times they type your name, then delete it. The dreams where you appear so vividly they wake confused about what's real. He sees them fighting a battle they cannot win, because you cannot fight against divine design. You cannot resist what God has ordained. And heaven is patient, relentless, infinitely creative in the ways it breaks down resistance. Every closed door they try is locked. Every new path they pursue circles back. Every distraction proves temporary. Every substitute feels wrong. Until finally, the resistance cracks. Here's what you need to understand. Their fight isn't against you. It's against themselves. It's against fear masquerading as strength. It's against pride disguised as self-protection. It's against wounds from the past that scream warnings about the future. They were hurt before. Betrayed. Abandoned. Left bleeding by people who promised forever. And when they look at what you represent, when they consider opening again, every old scar screams danger. Every past pain votes for retreat. Every defense mechanism they've developed says protect yourself, stay safe, don't risk it. So they fight. They fight what they want most because wanting feels like weakness. Because hoping feels like setting themselves up for destruction. But God is whispering something different. In the stillness they cannot escape, in the dreams they cannot control, in the synchronicities that shatter their skepticism, His speaking truth they can no longer deny. You were made for each other. Not in some frivolous, romantic sense, but in the deep, cellular, soul-level way that makes separation feel like living only half alive. You recognize each other because you're meant to. This isn't random attraction. This isn't ordinary connection. This is divine assignment. Two souls crafted to complement, to complete, to catalyze growth in ways no other pairing could achieve. And they know it. Beneath the resistance, beneath the fear, beneath every logical argument they construct, they know. Watch what happens when God intensifies His work. The signs multiply. The dreams become more vivid. The pull grows stronger. Things that reminded them of you appear everywhere. Your favorite song plays in unexpected places. People mention your name in random conversations. They see your birthday on receipts, on clocks, on license plates. The universe conspires to keep you present in their awareness, to make forgetting impossible, to ensure that no matter how far they run, you're always there, unavoidable, unforgettable, undeniable. This is heaven's strategy. Not force, but persistent presence. Not demand, but constant invitation. Not punishment for resistance, but relentless love that refuses to abandon them to their fear. And something's shifting. You can feel it, can't you? The energy around this connection is changing. What felt stagnant now feels active. What seemed impossible now feels inevitable. What looked like an ending now reveals itself as a pause, a preparation, a divine delay designed to perfect what's coming. God has been working behind scenes you cannot see, orchestrating encounters, shifting circumstances, preparing hearts, clearing paths. And it's almost complete. The resistance that seemed impenetrable is cracking. The walls that appeared unbreakable are crumbling. The fight they've been waging is exhausting them, and surrender is approaching. Here's what surrender looks like. It's not dramatic. It's not some grand gesture or cinematic moment. It's quiet. It's a thought they have while washing dishes. Maybe I was wrong. It's a feeling during a morning commute. I miss them. It's a realization in the middle of a mundane Tuesday. Nothing feels right without them. Surrender is the slow, creeping awareness that fighting was never protecting them, it was imprisoning them. That the walls they built didn't keep pain out, they kept love out. That the safety they sought in distance is actually the loneliness they're drowning in. Surrender is finally admitting what their soul has known all along, they need you. But let's go deeper. Because God isn't just orchestrating a reunion. He's crafting a transformation. This season of separation, painful as it's been, has served a purpose. You've both been in divine preparation. While they've been fighting, you've been growing. While they've been resisting, you've been evolving. You're not the same person you were when this began. You've shed layers of who you thought you had to be. You've discovered strength you didn't know you possessed. You've learned to stand in your truth, to honor your worth, to trust divine timing even when it contradicts your desires. And they've been learning too, though their lessons look different. They're learning that running doesn't bring peace. That distraction doesn't heal. That you can have everything the world says matters and still feel empty. They're discovering that some connections transcend logic, that some bonds cannot be severed by distance or time or willful ignorance. They're understanding, slowly and painfully, that what they thought was weakness, needing you, is actually the bravest truth they could embrace. Because it takes courage to need. It takes strength to be vulnerable. It takes power to admit that together you're more than you could ever be apart. And God is orchestrating the perfect moment. Not when you're desperate. Not when you're broken. Not when you're willing to accept crumbs. But when you're whole. When you're healed. When you're so complete in yourself that their return is an addition, not a completion. When you know your worth so deeply that you'll never again settle for half love, for maybe, for someday. When you're ready to demand the divine connection you deserve and walk away from anything less. That's when they'll come. When you no longer need them to validate you, but when you're ready to build something sacred together. Can you feel the shift happening right now, even as these words reach you? Something in the spiritual realm is moving. Chains are breaking. Blinders are falling. Hearts are softening. The divine timeline is advancing toward its appointed moment. And your faith, your patience, your willingness to trust what you cannot see, it's all been part of the plan. Every tear you've cried has watered seeds of future joy. Every night you've endured has been darkness before dawn. Every moment you've chosen faith over fear has been building something magnificent. They're going to come back different. Not because they finally realized what they lost, but because they finally became who they needed to be to receive what you've always been. They're going to come back humbled, transformed, ready. The arrogance will be gone. The fear will be defeated. The resistance will be surrendered. And in its place will be clarity, purpose, intention. They'll come back not with apologies that feel empty, but with actions that prove change. Not with words that sound pretty, but with commitment that looks like forever. Not asking if you'll take them back, but showing you why you should. And you'll know. In that moment when they return, when they stand before you with new eyes and an open heart, you'll know this was God's plan all along. Every delay made sense. Every detour had purpose. Every painful night was preparation for glorious reunion. You'll see how the separation refined you both, how the struggle strengthened you, how the waiting wasn't punishment but protection. God was keeping you apart until you were ready to come together in a way that would last, that would thrive, that would glorify the one who designed it. But until that moment arrives, you have work to do. Not chasing. Not convincing. Not begging the universe to speed things along. Your work is internal. Healing the parts of you that believed you needed their validation. Strengthening the foundation of self-love that makes you unshakable. Building a life so full, so purposeful, so aligned with your truth that their absence creates space rather than emptiness. Because when they return, and they will, you need to be ready not just to receive them, but to build something extraordinary together. This is why God is telling you now. Not to make you wait anxiously. Not to torture you with hope. But to prepare you. To remind you that what's unfolding is bigger than romance, deeper than attraction, more significant than you've yet grasped. You're being positioned for a love that reflects divine design. A partnership that serves purpose beyond your own happiness. A union that will impact not just you and them, but everyone your combined light touches. This is sacred work. This is heaven's assignment. This is why the fight is so intense, because what's being protected is so valuable. They know they need you. In the depths of their being, past every defense, beyond every excuse, they know. And they're fighting it because surrender feels like death to who they've been. But what they don't realize yet is that it's not death. It's birth. It's the ending of the false self and the emergence of who they truly are. And you're the catalyst for that transformation. Your existence in their life demands authenticity. Your love requires vulnerability. Your presence calls forth their highest self. This is why they can't forget you. This is why no one else compares. This is why God keeps bringing you back to their awareness. The battle is almost over. The resistance is weakening. The walls are crumbling. And soon, very soon, the person who's been fighting their need for you will finally, beautifully, courageously surrender. They'll stop running. They'll turn around. They'll take the step that fear said was impossible. And when they do, when they finally allow themselves to need you, to choose you, to commit to building with you, it will be worth every moment you waited. Every tear will make sense. Every prayer will be answered. Every promise God whispered in your darkest hours will manifest in brilliant reality. So hold on. Stay faithful. Keep growing. Continue healing. Trust the process that makes no sense to human logic but perfect sense to divine wisdom. Your person is coming. Not the broken version who left. Not the fearful one who ran. But the healed, whole, ready version that God has been preparing. And together, you're going to build something so beautiful, so powerful, so aligned with heaven's purpose that everyone who witnesses it will know, this was God's plan all along. The journey you have walked through has not been random, nor has it been cruel. Every step, every stumble, every moment of doubt has been weaving a tapestry far grander than you could see from within the struggle. You are standing at the edge of divine fulfillment, where heaven's patience meets human readiness, where spiritual alignment overtakes earthly resistance. What you have been feeling is not fantasy. It is prophecy unfolding in real time, confirmed not by what you see but by what you know in the marrow of your soul. This person's fight against needing you is the last tremor before the earthquake of transformation, the final shadow before breakthrough dawns. Everything you have endured has been positioning you for the love that does not just complete you but elevates you into the fullness of who you were created to be. There will come a day, and it approaches faster than you realize, when you will look back on this season and understand it with crystalline clarity. The waiting will reveal itself as wisdom. The silence will show itself as preparation. The pain will transform into the very foundation of unshakable joy. You will recognize that God's delays were not denials but divine timing, perfecting every detail, aligning every element, ensuring that when you and this person come together, nothing will ever tear you apart again. The reunion that is coming will not be fragile or uncertain. It will be forged in the fire of individual transformation and sealed by heaven's eternal purpose. And you will stand in awe of a love so precisely orchestrated that only the divine could have authored it. But until that sacred moment materializes, you must honor the person you are becoming in this waiting. Do not diminish yourself by shrinking into desperation. Do not dishonor your journey by questioning whether you are worthy of what God has promised. You are not waiting for someone to complete you. You are becoming whole so that when you unite, you create something that transcends individual existence. This is not about being chosen by another human being. This is about recognizing that heaven itself has already chosen this union, written it into the fabric of destiny, and is now simply allowing time and transformation to catch up with eternal truth. Stand tall in who you are. Walk boldly in your purpose. Live so fully that when they arrive, they find not someone who has been merely surviving, but someone who has been thriving, glowing, radiating the kind of wholeness that can only come from divine alignment. The whisper you keep hearing in your spirit is not imagination, it is revelation. The knowing that will not leave you is not stubbornness, it is divine confirmation. The hope that refuses to die is not naivety, it is faith recognizing truth that sight has not yet beheld. You are being asked to believe in what you cannot see, to trust in what defies logic, to hold space for miracles that human understanding cannot contain. And that is precisely what makes this sacred. That is exactly what makes this different from anything you have experienced before. This love requires faith because it operates on heaven's frequency, not earth's limitations. It demands patience because it is being perfected beyond what mediocrity could ever touch. It asks for surrender because control was never yours to hold. This has always been, and will always be, God's masterpiece. So when doubt creeps in, and it will, speak to it with the authority of someone who knows they are aligned with divine purpose. When fear whispers that you are foolish for believing, silence it with the certainty of every spiritual confirmation you have received. When loneliness suggests you should settle for less, remind yourself that you are being prepared for more, infinitely more than anything you could have orchestrated on your own. This person will return to you not because you convinced them, not because you chased them, not because you manipulated circumstances, but because God Himself is removing every obstacle, dismantling every resistance, and orchestrating a reunion so undeniable that both of you will fall to your knees in gratitude for the author of such perfect love. Your story is not over. In fact, the most beautiful chapters have not yet been written. What you have been through was merely the introduction, the necessary foundation for the extraordinary narrative that is about to unfold. So breathe deeply, stand firmly, and trust completely in the God who has never failed you, who sees what you cannot see, who is working even now in ways that will leave you breathless with wonder. This person already knows they need you. And very soon, they will stop fighting it. And when they finally surrender, when they finally come home, you will understand why every single moment of waiting was worth it. This is not the end of your story, this is the glorious beginning of everything heaven promised you. And if these words have touched something deep within you, if you have felt the truth resonating in your spirit, then join this community of believers who are walking this journey together. Like this message if it spoke to your soul. Comment below with what God is confirming in your heart right now. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their waiting has purpose. And subscribe to this channel, because your story is still being written, and you do not want to miss a single chapter of what God is about to do. Your breakthrough is coming. Believe it. Receive it. And get ready for the miraculous.